Close your eyes for a second. Imagine the last bite of food you will ever taste. A slice of warm bread, a cold glass of water, the crunch of an apple, the salt on your tongue after a handful of fries. Now imagine swallowing that last bite, knowing that tomorrow and the day after, and every single day for the next 50 years, you will never chew anything again. No meals, no drinks, no birthday cake, no coffee, nothing. Instead, you will swallow a small gray pill 3 times a day, every day, for half a century. That pill contains everything your body needs to survive. Proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, fiber, all of it synthesized in a laboratory, compressed into something the size of a marble. No smell, no taste, no texture. Just a smooth capsule sliding down your throat. Sounds simple, right? Sounds efficient. Sounds like the future. But what actually happens to a human being who gives up food for 50 years? What happens to your stomach, your brain, your bones, your memories, your sanity? What happens to a species that spent 2 million years hunting, cooking, gathering, and sharing meals? The answer is more disturbing than you think. This is the story of 50 years without food, and it begins with a single pill. The first day is almost easy. You swallow the first pill with a sip of water. You feel nothing. No hunger, no fullness. The pill dissolves in your stomach within minutes, releasing a precise cocktail of nutrients calibrated to your body weight, age, and activity level. By the second day, your brain is confused. You walk past a bakery and the smell of fresh bread hits you like a wall. Your mouth waters. Your stomach clenches. But the pill has already delivered 600 calories. Your body does not need food. Your brain does. There is a difference. By the end of the first week, the physical hunger fades. The synthetic nutrients are bioavailable and complete. Your blood sugar stays flat. You do not crash. You do not binge. Your body, in purely chemical terms, is fed. But something is wrong. Chewing is gone. Your jaw, which evolved to grind and tear, now does nothing. Within the first month, dentists notice changes. Saliva production drops by nearly 40% because there is nothing to chew. Your gums begin to recede. Your jaw muscles, the masseter and temporalis, start to atrophy from disuse. The act of eating used to burn calories. Chewing, swallowing, digesting rough, fibrous food. That work is gone. Your basal metabolic rate shifts. You feel strangely restless, like a body that expects effort but receives none. By month 3, you notice something else. You do not enjoy anything the same way. Food was the rhythm of your day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, coffee breaks. Those moments were punctuation marks in time. Without them, the hours blur together. 1 pill at 8 in the morning, 1 at noon, 1 at 6. The day becomes a flat gray line. No peaks, no rewards. And your brain knows it. The dopamine system, which for millions of years lit up at the sight and smell and taste of food, goes quiet. The reward pathways dim. By the end of year 1, you are alive. You are nourished, but you feel hollow in a way that has nothing to do with calories. Year 2 is when your digestive system begins to change in ways that cannot be reversed. The human gut is not a simple pipeline. It is a living ecosystem. Your intestines contain trillions of bacteria, an entire civilization of microorganisms that evolved alongside humans for hundreds of thousands of years. They feed on what you eat. They break down fiber from plants. They ferment compounds from fruits and vegetables. They produce vitamins your body cannot make alone. They train your immune system. When you stop eating real food, this civilization begins to starve. Within the first 6 months, gut bacteria diversity crashes. Studies on similar dietary shifts show that up to 40% of microbial species can disappear. The ones that survive are the generalists, the hardy strains that can metabolize the synthetic compounds in the pills. The specialists, the bacteria that broke down complex plant fibers, begin to die off. Without fiber from real vegetables and grains, the colon changes. It was designed to process bulk, volume, rough material. The pills contain no bulk. They are pure compressed nutrition. Your colon, a muscular organ that rhythmically pushed waste through your body for your entire life, now has almost nothing to push. The intestinal walls, which relied on the physical pressure of food to maintain their tone, begin to weaken. Peristalsis slows. Constipation becomes chronic. By year 3, the lining of your gut has thinned. The tight junctions between intestinal cells, the barriers that keep bacteria out of your bloodstream, begin to loosen. This is the beginning of what researchers call intestinal permeability. Your gut leaks, not visibly, not painfully, but at a microscopic level. Fragments of bacteria and undigested synthetic compounds slip into your bloodstream. Your immune system, which was trained by a diverse microbiome to distinguish friend from foe, becomes confused. Inflammation rises, not dramatically, not dangerously, but steadily, like a slow fire that never goes out. By year 5, your digestive system is a shadow of what it was. Your stomach still produces acid, but less of it. Your liver still functions, but it processes synthetic compounds differently than natural fats and proteins. Your gallbladder, which released bile to digest real fats, becomes sluggish. The organs do not fail. They simply idle, like engines running in neutral, waiting for fuel they will never receive again. By year 5, the psychological effects become impossible to ignore. And this is where the story gets dark. Humans did not evolve to eat pills. We evolved to eat together. For 2 million years, food was social, sitting around a fire, sharing a kill, passing a bowl. The dinner table is one of the oldest structures in human civilization. Older than writing, older than agriculture, older than cities. When you remove food, you remove the table. And when you remove the table, you remove something fundamental about what it means to be human. By year 5, people on synthetic pill diets report a profound and growing sense of isolation. Not loneliness in the traditional sense, something deeper, an existential disconnection. There are no meals to share. No one cooks for you. No one passes you a plate. Holidays lose their center. What is Thanksgiving without turkey? What is a birthday without cake? What is a date without dinner? The rituals collapse. Depression rates climb. Studies on individuals undergoing extreme dietary restriction, even for medical reasons, show sharp increases in anxiety, irritability, and mood instability. The brain needs more than glucose and amino acids. It needs the experience of eating, the texture, the temperature, the surprise of flavor, the warmth of a shared meal. None of that exists in a pill. Memory begins to suffer too. Food is one of the most powerful memory triggers in the human brain. The smell of cinnamon, the taste of your grandmother's soup. These are not trivial nostalgias. They are structural. Olfactory memory is wired directly into the hippocampus and amygdala, the emotional and memory centers of the brain. When you stop eating real food, those neural pathways go quiet. They do not die, but they dim. Memories tied to meals, to smells, to tastes become harder to reach. Like books on a shelf in a room where the lights are slowly going out. By year 7, many long-term pill users report something researchers did not expect. Phantom hunger, not physical hunger. The body is fed, but the mind invents hunger. People describe vivid, almost hallucinatory cravings. They smell food that is not there. They dream about meals they have not eaten in years. They wake up chewing on nothing. The brain, starved of sensory input, begins to manufacture it. By year 10, the psychological damage is measurable. Chronic low-grade depression, social withdrawal, a flattened emotional range. People describe feeling like they are watching their own life through glass. Alive. Nourished, but not living. Somewhere around year 10, your body stops fighting the pills and starts adapting to them. And the adaptation is not pretty. Your jaw has continued to shrink. Without chewing, the bone that anchors your teeth begins to resorb. This is the same process that happens to people who lose teeth, but it happens everywhere, uniformly, across the entire jaw. Teeth loosen. Some fall out. The lower third of the face collapses inward. You look older than you are. Your tongue, which used to push food around your mouth, loses muscle tone. It thickens and shortens. Swallowing becomes a deliberate effort, not an automatic reflex. The pills are small, but without the natural mechanics of mastication, even swallowing them becomes mechanical, conscious work. Your hands change too. The fine motor patterns of eating, cutting, lifting, wiping disappear from your daily repertoire. Your fingers lose calluses you never noticed you had. Your posture shifts. Without the ritual of preparing and eating food, people on long-term pill diets report spending more time at screens. The body adapts to stillness. Muscle mass declines, not from the diet itself, but from the lifestyle that grows around it. Without meals to prepare, without groceries to carry, without kitchens to clean, daily physical activity drops. Without that drop, people gain weight because the pills, despite being nutritionally precise, still deliver calories. And without movement, those calories become fat. By year 15, the skeletal system shows signs of stress. The synthetic pills contain calcium and vitamin D, but bone density is not just about nutrients. It is about load. Your bones need impact. Walking, running, lifting. The mechanical stress of a body that moves through a world, that carries things, that walks to a market. Food was part of that mechanical loop. Carrying groceries, standing to cook, walking to a restaurant. Remove those movements and bones slowly lose density. Not dramatically, not like osteoporosis, but measurably. By year 20, a person who has lived entirely on synthetic pills looks different from someone who eats food. Not sick, not dying, but changed. Thinner in some places, softer in others. A face that has lost the architecture of chewing. A body that has lost the movements of eating. A person reshaped by the absence of a daily act that defined humanity for millennia. Now zoom out, because this is not just about one body. This is about a world. Imagine that 20 years have passed, and not just you, but millions of people are on synthetic nutrition pills, not by force, by choice, or by economics, because pills are cheap. Pills do not spoil. Pills do not need refrigeration. Pills do not need farmland, or water, or shipping routes, or grocery stores. At first, the shift is gradual. Some people adopt pills for convenience, some for health, some for cost. But as adoption grows, the ripple effects become enormous. Agriculture, the foundation of human civilization for 10,000 years, begins to contract. Why grow wheat if no one bakes bread? Why raise cattle if no one eats steak? Why plant orchards if no one bites into an apple? Farmland starts to go fallow, not all at once, but steadily. Year by year, acre by acre. The economic engine of food production, which employed over 1 billion people worldwide, begins to sputter. Farmers switch to pill ingredient production, growing crops not for human consumption, but as raw feedstock for synthetic nutrition factories. Corn and soy, not for eating, but for processing. The landscape changes. Fields that once grew a diversity of crops, tomatoes and lettuce and strawberries and peppers, now grow monocultures designed for industrial extraction. Biodiversity in agriculture plummets. The cultural landscape changes too. Restaurants close. Not all of them, but many. The ones that survive become luxury experiences, places people visit the way they visit a museum. A meal becomes entertainment, not sustenance. Kitchens shrink. New homes are built without them. Why build a kitchen if you never cook? The real estate market shifts. Space once dedicated to dining rooms and pantries becomes home office space. Screen rooms. Storage. Supermarkets transform. Aisles of fresh produce, once the heart of a grocery store, dwindle to a single refrigerated case. The rest of the store sells pills. Rows and rows of small, uniform bottles. The social fabric tears in quiet ways. Farmers' markets disappear. Street food vendors vanish. The sounds of a kitchen, the sizzle, the chopping, the clatter of plates, fade from daily life. Children grow up never smelling a pot of soup on the stove, never watching a parent season a dish, never learning what a ripe tomato feels like. Generational knowledge, passed down through recipes and cooking traditions, begins to erode. It is not lost, but it narrows, like a language no one speaks anymore. By year 30, the world is fed. No one starves. The pills are distributed efficiently, equitably. Malnutrition, for the first time in human history, approaches zero. That is the triumph. But the cost is the loss of an entire relationship between humans and the earth. We no longer touch the soil. We no longer harvest. We no longer transform raw ingredients into something shared. We take a pill and move on. By year 30, something happens that no one predicted. The phantom hunger does not go away. It gets worse. Remember, the body is fed. Every nutrient is accounted for. Every calorie is delivered. Blood work is perfect. Organ function is normal. In every measurable way, the person is healthy. But the mind is starving. Not for nutrients, for experience, for the act of eating, for the sensory symphony of a real meal. The crunch, the heat, the sweetness, the bitterness, the way a single bite can transport you to a memory, a place, a person. Decades of that sensory void accumulate, and the brain, which spent 2 million years wiring food into its deepest structures, does not forget. It does not adapt. It rebels. People who have been on pills for 30 years describe a hunger so intense it keeps them awake at night. Not in the stomach, in the mind. A craving that has no name. They describe dreams about food so vivid they wake up crying. They describe walking past a restaurant and having to physically stop themselves from walking in and grabbing a plate. Some do. Some break the diet after 30 years. And when they do, something remarkable and terrible happens. Their bodies cannot handle it. The gut, after decades of processing only pills, rejects real food. The digestive system, the microbiome, the intestinal lining, the enzyme production, all of it has remade itself for pills. A person who eats a piece of bread after 30 years of pills will experience severe gastrointestinal distress, bloating, cramping, diarrhea. The body treats real food like an invader. The microbiome, stripped of the bacteria that once processed bread, cannot break it down. The enzymes that once digested complex carbohydrates are produced in tiny amounts, if at all. Reintroducing food is possible, but it takes months, sometimes years. The gut has to be retrained, slowly, painfully, bite by bite. Some people never manage it. The choice becomes irreversible. Not because the pills are addictive, but because the body, having remade itself, cannot easily unmake itself. By year 40, this reality settles over the population like a second skin. We are fed. We are healthy. We are trapped. The pill is not just nutrition. It is identity. We are pill eaters now, a new kind of human. And the hunger that lives in the mind, the hunger that no pill can satisfy, becomes a permanent feature of existence. A ghost that follows every person, every day, for the rest of their lives. 50 years. You are older now. Your hair is gray or gone. Your skin is thinner. Your joints ache. This part is normal. Aging happens to everyone. but you have aged in ways that no human has ever aged before. Your jaw is narrow and weak. Most of your teeth are gone. Your face has a sunken quality. The lower third collapsed inward, because the bone that once held the structure of chewing has resorbed almost entirely. Your tongue is thick and sluggish. Swallowing a pill, something you have done 3 times a day for 18,000 days, is now a conscious, deliberate act. Your gut is quiet, dangerously quiet. The microbiome, once a thriving ecosystem of trillions of organisms, is a barren landscape. A few hardy strains remain. The diversity that once protected you, that trained your immune system, that produced compounds your brain needed, is gone. Your immune system is functional, but fragile. You get sick more often. You recover more slowly. Infections linger. Wounds heal poorly. The chronic low-grade inflammation that started in year 2 has never gone away. It has seeped into your joints, your blood vessels, your brain. Your memory is patchy, not from dementia, but from the loss of the neural pathways that food once maintained. You remember meals from before the pills. Your mother's cooking, a summer peach, coffee on a cold morning. Those memories are vivid, almost painfully sharp, because they are the last real sensory memories you have. Everything after the pills is a blur of gray days and flat hours. Your emotions are muted, not gone, but flattened. You do not feel joy the way you once did. You do not feel sadness the same way either. The dopamine system, understimulated for half a century, has rewired itself into something quieter, duller, more uniform. You are alive. You are nourished. Your blood work is still good. The pills have kept you alive. In a purely biological sense, they have done their job. But the question is whether you are still fully human in the way that matters. You do not eat. You do not cook. You do not share meals. You do not smell food. You do not taste anything. You do not remember the last time you did. The rituals that connected you to other humans, to the earth, to your own history, are gone. Replaced by a small gray pill swallowed 3 times a day in silence. And here is the deepest truth of this whole experiment. The pills worked. That is what makes this story not a horror story, but a tragedy. The technology succeeded. The nutrition was perfect. The body survived. 50 years of synthetic food, and you are still here. Still breathing, still thinking. Still alive. The science did exactly what it promised. It just did not promise enough. Because food was never just fuel. It was memory. It was culture. It was love. It was the thing that brought humans together around a fire 2 million years ago and kept us together ever since. Take that away, and you do not just change a diet, you change a species. You change what we are. So the question is not whether we could survive on pills for 50 years. We can. The question is whether survival is enough. And after 50 years of silence, of gray days, of phantom hunger and hollow mornings, the answer is quiet and sad and clear. Survival is not enough. We were never just bodies that needed feeding. We were creatures who needed to eat, and the difference between those two things is the difference between living and being alive. 50 years, 1 pill, 3 times a day, and the slow, silent erosion of everything that made us human.